Hello everyone, my name is Fedro and this is Cozy Feji, and on this channel we cover a variety of things such as video essays, reviews, JRPGs, and all things cozy gaming. So last year I posted a video of my Nintendo Switch collection sharing with you all the games and all the consoles and accessories that I had with my current collection. And since then my collection has definitely changed. I've added some new games, I've gotten rid of some games, I've gotten some consoles, and I've gotten rid of some consoles. So today I wanted to share with you guys the current state of my Nintendo Switch collection. I love watching these kind of videos because the Nintendo Switch is one of my favorite consoles of all time, and I feel like collection videos are an awesome way to get an insight of what kind of gamer you are and what the kind of personality you have through your games. So without further ado, let's get into the Switch collection video. So today I'm not going to go into too much detail or depth of my collection compared to my last video. Like I mentioned before, last time I showed you all the accessories that I had and all that stuff, but today I'm strictly just going to show you the consoles that I have and the video games, the nitty-gritty, the reason why you are here. So I'm gonna get into it. So yes, I do have 2 Switches. No one needs this many Switches. This was the first Switch that I have. I guess this is considered the OG Switch. I got this back in 2020 during the panorama. This is actually the original Animal Crossing Switch edition. You can't tell because I have a skin on it. If you can't tell, green is my favorite color. And so I decided to accessorize it a little bit. But yeah, this is usually my main docked Switch. This is always set up to my my main monitor in my room. I think it's just an easy way if I ever want to play it on my computer or my monitor. I always have it docked. So yeah, this is the OG Switch, and I do have some digital games on this one, so I'll just briefly mention those ones right now really quickly. Those games being Animal Crossing New Horizons, Persona 5 Strikers, Undertale, Sky Children of the Light, The Swords of Ditto, Opus The Day We Found Earth, Octopath Traveler, and Florence. Those are all the digital games that I have on this main console here. And the reason why I have 2 Switches really is because I wanted to have multiple islands on my Animal Crossing account, which I think it's so weird how Animal Crossing doesn't allow you to have multiple save files on one Switch. The only way you can play multiple islands and decorate them and customize them however to your heart's content is to get a separate Switch, which is why I have this one, and that is the Nintendo Switch OLED. I think I got this back in 2022, I want to say. And the reason I got this out of impulse. I didn't really need it, but the idea of having another Switch and another island was very tempting. Plus the screen size and the OLED is amazing, and this has become my dedicated handheld console, and I pretty much play this most of the time. I love handheld gaming, and the screen size and the OLED makes it amazing and such a great experience. And as for digital games on this console, I don't have too many, but I do have a few, some. I have Cupid's Parasite, which is an Otome game. I also have Palia, which I haven't really played much of. Deltarune Chapter 1 and 2, also have not played much of. And lastly, Annam Mutationum, and that's pretty much all of the digital games that I have in terms of my Switch. Now let's get into the fun part, the physical games. Now for me, my physical game collection compared to most people is kind of small, I would think, but then again, someone could look at my collection and say, oh my god, that's a lot. So I'm going to just go into it. And it's in no particular order. I might share games in the similar franchise or series, but it's not going to be in terms of like genre or anything. So let's get into it. So the first 4 games that I'm going to share with you are the Xenoblade Chronicles franchise. I have pretty much every Xenoblade physical copy of a game that you can on the Switch. I have Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Xenoblade Chronicles Torna, The Golden Country, as well as Xenoblade Chronicles 3. If you guys do not know, I mention this quite often on this channel. The Xenoblade franchise is probably one of my favorite JRPG franchises of all time. I just love the world design, I love the characters, and of course, I absolutely love the story in these games. I still have yet to play Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and Torna, The Golden Country. I played a little bit on this channel. I did stream it for a bit in the beginning of this year. I would love to stream again at some point, but with my schedule and my current program that I'm in school, there's absolutely no time for streaming. But if I do play it on my own time, I would definitely for sure make a video about it, because I absolutely love the Xenoblade franchise and I love what Monolith Soft does with their games, and I cannot wait to see what other projects Monolith Soft has under their hands. The next game that I have that I also have not played yet, but you'll probably hear that a lot in this video, is Dragon Quest XI Echoes of the Elusive Age. I've had this for a while because I feel like Dragon Quest is such a classic JRPG franchise that every JRPG lover has to have in their collection. And I don't know if you can tell, this one is still in its wrapping because I've yet to play it. It's very much fresh, but I've heard really great things about it, and it's again like a classic straight up JRPG that I cannot wait to get my hands on. The next game that I have is 13 Sentinel Aegis Rim. I absolutely adore this game. I played this last year and I did make a review about how much I love this game. This is from the creators of Vanillaware, who have made games such as Dragon's Crown, Odin Sphere, and most recently Unicorn Overload. But I think out of all of those games, this one is definitely their best in terms of story. It's a very convoluted sci-fi, but very complex JRPG. I would say, I know a lot of people don't call it a JRPG and more of a visual novel, because there are very much heavy on the visual novel aspects. Don't go into this game expecting super immersive and gripping gameplay. The gameplay in it's fun, but it's definitely not the main focus of this game. It's definitely its story, and this story has such a great payoff. It's around like 30 hours long, so it's not super long, but I highly recommend people taking the time to play this one. And the next two games are from the same franchise, and that's Persona 5 Royal as well as Persona 5 Tactica. I absolutely love Persona 5. I was introduced to the Persona franchise due to Persona 5, the base game, and when it was announced that Persona 5 Royal was going to be on the Switch, I knew I had to get a copy of it, so I actually have the Steelbook edition of Persona 5. And I remember when this first came out, I played it like crazy every day. I actually got this game, I think, a couple weeks, or not even a couple weeks, a month before I decided to leave my corporate job. And this was definitely a great timing to play that game because I had a lot more free time and I just spent all my days just playing this game. But I absolutely love Persona 5, the franchise and the series. And I have Tactica. I still haven't really played too much of it. I put in maybe about 2 hours into it, but I know it's a pretty short-ish game, and it's a spin-off, so it's nothing too crazy, and I don't have to like focus too much in it. I think it's definitely a game I can pick up while I'm watching something or just, tune out, but I'm really happy to have both of these in my collection. Kind of going on a different genre now, I guess, now that I'm looking at my stack. I want to show you some Otome games or visual novels, first being Sympathy Kiss. I picked this game up actually early this year. It's a very cute office romance Otome game. All the bachelors in this were really cool. I don't think I really didn't dislike any of the bachelors and the routes that I got to play and follow. The story is pretty run-of-the-mill, but I thought it was a lot of fun, and I actually replayed one of the secret routes because I just thought it was so cute and endearing. And I think visual novels are definitely a good in-between or break between JRPGs or even a pretty heavy intensive game, depending on, of course, the content, because the next game that I'm going to mention is pretty heavy, and that is Olympia Soiree, also a game that I played this year. Absolutely loved it. Definitely one of my top 5 games that I played this year. I absolutely loved the story in this game, and all of the routes and all the men that you get to romance in this are absolutely amazing. I didn't do any of the bad routes because I just wanted to get the good routes, but I absolutely loved the story in each one, and I honestly can't really pick a favorite, but if I had to, no, I can't pick a favorite. They're all really great, but I really loved this game, and this was definitely one of the visual novels that I picked up that I truly recommend anyone play. It's pretty long. I think I put in up to like 50-ish hours or so playing all of the routes, so it's definitely a long-winded one, but you're in for a great journey. Next game that I haven't yet to pick up, but I've really wanted to have in my collection, and that is Danganronpa Decadence. And this is a compilation pack because it has a total of, I believe, 4 or 5 games on here. This has Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc, Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair, and Danganronpa V3 Killing Harmony, as well as the newer addition to this pack, which is Danganronpa S Ultimate Summer Camp, which is a board style kind of bonus style game. And I know that this has a very much a cult following, and there's a lot of people that absolutely love this franchise and anything that the company makes. And I know that once I do play it, I will absolutely love it, because I loved games kind of like the Nonary games. Absolutely loved that game, so I feel like this game is very similar to that. So I know that I will love my time with the murder mystery elements with it as well. Now the next game in my collection is a kind of a JRPG hidden gem, or at least a JRPG that Square Enix kind of forgets about, and that is Harvestella. I know a lot of my friends here on YouTube have nothing but great things to say about this game. I have yet to play it, but I feel like it's a cross between a lifestyle sim with RPG elements, which is right up my alley. I love a life sim, as well as, of course, a good JRPG. And me and from Square Enix, it could only be great things. So I'm really excited, and hopefully I'll get to it soon. I can't say any promises, but I know that when my winter break comes up, when I'll have a lot more time, I will definitely try to crack in a lot of more of these games. Another JRPG to mention is Astral Chain, which is a Nintendo Switch exclusive. I've heard really great things about this. I know that the story isn't something to run home about, but I know that the combat and the visuals in this is really, really cool. And it is promising because it's a new IP from this company, Platinum Games. I think it is Platinum, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I think it is Platinum Games. Yeah, it is Platinum. And so I really want to get into this soon or eventually. I kind of picked this up because the gameplay in total is not too long. So I think since it's nothing too extensive with the story, I think this would be a fun game to just play to pass the time. So I'm excited to get into this, and I'm really happy to have this in my collection, because I know that buying this game, it's not an expensive one, but I know that's doesn't really drop in MSRP that often. The next game that I picked is also a JRPG classic, and that is Tactics Ogre Reborn. This also still is in its packaging wrap, but I've heard really great things about this. I love a good tactics or strategy RPG. I got introduced to the genre due to Fire Emblem, which you'll definitely see in this video, but I really wanted to get into this because I've heard really great things about the Tactics Ogre games from Square Enix. I know that Final Fantasy Tactics is probably one of their best, but I know that this one's a really fun and challenging game, so I definitely need to get into it at some point. But I'm honestly kind of scared because I've heard it's pretty challenging, so hopefully I'll be up to the task. And of course, another JRPG classic, and we have Chrono Cross and the Radical Dreamers edition. I know that this comes with the special story called Radical Dreamers that was not originally added to the original game. And I remember seeing this at the Nintendo Direct. Was it on 2023, 2022? Can't really remember. But I was really excited to get into it because I know that the Chrono games are a classic and a JRPG staple, so I had to get it. I've yet played it since, but what's new? And the next two games are from the same franchise, and that is Fire Emblem Three Houses, as well as Fire Emblem Warriors Three Hopes. Now, I did have Fire Emblem Engage, but I ended up selling that game because I don't know, I feel like I say it quite often on this channel, but if you don't know, I didn't really care too much for that game. And to be honest, as much as I do love the Fire Emblem franchise, I just did not see myself playing that game ever again. So it just made sense for me to sell it and get some money back from it. So as of right now, for my Nintendo Switch collection, I only have 2 Fire Emblem games. Fire Emblem was actually my very first JRPG that I've ever played, ever. I know, crazy, but I absolutely loved my time with this, and I loved the different routes. I played this game to its entirety. I played all the 3 routes. I played the Seeker route, and I played the DLC, and I love this game. I love the story. I love the combat. I think this is such a good introductory to the franchise, as well as strategy RPGs as well. And I think it's honestly a staple for the Switch. If you have a Switch, you should have this game in your collection. And then of course we have Three Hopes. I only played 1 route of this, and I definitely know I had to get back to this at some point because I actually loved my time with it. I think the warrior style combat was very fitting for the Fire Emblem world, and I'm excited to see how the story plays out with the other routes as well. Next up is another visual novel with Pure Fiore, Fainted Memories. Now, I played this game, I think back in 2022. I only played I played about 2 routes of this, but for some reason, My Switch deleted all of the data and there's no backup data on the cloud, so all those hours are gone, which is so unfortunate. But what I loved about this one, it's set in a cute little quaint town in Italy run by mafia lords, which I think is very interesting. And each of the men that we follow, or at least 4 of the 5 of the men that we get to romance, are part of them, are different mafia clans. And so you get to see how they run and how they incorporate themselves into the Italian society. And it was really cute and fun. Definitely had a really interesting story. It's definitely a lot longer than other Otome games that I played, but it's a definitely cute one. And I think this is also like a pretty common Otome visual novel game that people recommend to a lot of people to play, especially on the Switch. Now, a game completely opposite to an Otome game is Hades. Now, I picked up this copy of Hades a while earlier this year, actually. Reason because I wanted to diversify the genres that I play, because if you can't tell, I love JRPGs. It's in the title of my intro. A lot of my videos are about JRPGs, but I wanted to get into this one because I know a lot of friends and a lot of people who are into video games love this game. And I played Cult of the Lamb earlier this year, which is very similar in a sense. It's both a roguelike as well, and I absolutely loved my time with it. So I wanted to dip my toes into the genre a little bit more and pick up Hades. Now I know that this one's a little more challenging and a little bit more punishing, but I'm excited to get to play it nonetheless, because I also heard the story in this game is a lot of fun as well. So hopefully I'll get to it eventually. Hopefully I'll also be up to the task for this one. Another visual novel that I have that I still have yet to play, shocker, is Steins Gate Elite. I wanted to pick up this game because I remember I'm a pretty avid anime watcher, and I've seen this anime time and time again, and when I did more research I found out that it was based on the visual novel, and I feel like it would be probably better to experience it through the visual novel than the anime. I'm not sure if this is the first game, because I know that there's 2 versions or 2 different games in this universe, so I hope to God that this is the first one. But I'm excited to get to it nonetheless, because it also has to deal with it's a sci-fi game also dealing with parallel universes and stuff like that, so I'm intrigued to see how this game plays and how the story unfolds, because I've heard nothing but good things about it. So the next game that I have is Digimon Survive. Now, when this game came out, it was came out with low fanfare. The team Bandai Namco wasn't really marketing it that much, and it kind of came to really bad reviews because a lot of people didn't realize that it was more visual novel based than gameplay. I mean, there is gameplay, but it definitely leans more on the visual novel aspect of it, and the gameplay that it does have, it's more turn-based strategy RPG elements to it, and it also kind of has like a very dark, twisted story to it. So I'm intrigued. I've never played any Digimon game ever, so I'm really curious as to see how this one plays and to see if I am interested to play any other Digimon games. The next 2 games I'm going to mention pretty briefly is Color X Malis as well as Best of Fellows, more visual novel Otome games. I have played this one earlier this year and absolutely loved it. This one is a really cool modern day visual novel where you follow a group of, I don't even know what to call them. They're both like a group of people who have different jobs that kind of help solve mysteries. We have a lawyer, an assassin, a plastic surgeon, someone who works in the morgue, and a hacker, all working together to get money and solve mysteries. And then our main girl that we follow has a really interesting power where she can go back in time, but into different person's body, but she doesn't really know what time of day or when she could be going back in time. So it's just kind of random, and she just kind of hopes for the best that it all works out. And so she kind of utilizes her power to help solve these mysteries. Now, what's really interesting about this Otome visual novel is that there's not that much. I mean, there is romance, but romance is definitely not the focus of it, but I still think the story and the premise is really, really cool. And once you play all of the routes, you do get the ending puzzle, or the last puzzle of the overarching story, which I think is really, really fun, that I highly, highly recommend people play. Even if you don't love Otome games or want to dabble a bit in visual novels, if anything that I have on this collection, I recommend this one and Olympia Soaring. The next JRPG, or the next game in my collection, is also another JRPG, and that is Star Ocean Second Story R. Now, I was really hyped up and excited for this game because it's a remaster of the second game of the Star Ocean franchise. It's also in the cool HD 2D style, and of course, it's a new JRPG that I wanted to experience. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of had to drop this game just because the story wasn't really hitting for me. The combat was fun and the world and the visuals were absolutely stunning, but I just wasn't that gripped with the story. I don't know if it's because I started off playing, I think his name is Claude, his route. Maybe if I played Marina's route, it would be different, but I know I definitely want to give this game a second chance, and I will definitely play it again, and hopefully I'll have a better time the second time around. The next game that I want to mention and share with you guys is Bravely Default 2. This is from the Bravely Default series that came out on the 3DS. I don't remember what years, but they have Bravely Default, the original and second layer as well. So this was the some kind of sequel to that, even though there's other sequels. But either way, this is the Bravely Default's first dip and toes into the Switch console, and I've heard like pretty good things about this one. I know it's not as good as the 3DS games, but anytime to play a new JRPG franchise, I'm excited to nonetheless. So the next game that I have that I also have yet to play, and that is Master Detective Archive Raincode from the creators of Danganronpa. What's really cool about this one, it has those mystery elements, but also has more RPG, JRPG elements to it. And when I heard that mix, I definitely was really intrigued, so I had to cop a copy of this. I have yet to play it, but I've heard really great things about this, and I cannot wait to play it soon. The next game that I have is Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin. Now, what's really interesting about this is it's a kind of a spin-off of the Monster Hunter franchise. This more leans focus on the monster catching and RPG elements compared to the main line games, which are more of hunting and battling big bosses. I was more inclined to play this one because this one is more focused on its story than the main franchise, and I've heard really great things about this game. I definitely want to get to it at some point because this has been in my collection for a hot minute. The next game that I have is Live Alive or Live Alive. I still don't know how to say it to this day, but when I remember seeing this at one of the Nintendo Directs, I was really intrigued because apparently this was a JRPG that we never got to play here in the West, and the concept of playing through different time periods and of course the HD 2D art style was screaming my name, so I had to get a copy of this from my local store, and I'm really excited to get into it because again, I've heard nothing but great things about this, and I think it's a relatively quick game, so I definitely want to get into it and take it out of its wrapping soon. The next game that I have is also a pretty recent addition to my collection, and that's Trials of Mana. I know that I think this is a remake of the original. I could be mistaken, but I've heard really great things about it because it's also another pretty good JRPG classic. I know recently the Visions of Mana had just come out, but I definitely want to get into this soon and play this before I get into that game. The next game that I have is also another JRPG, and that is Neo: The World Ends With You. I've heard really mixed things about this because it's a sequel to The World Ends With You that came out on the DS back in the day, and of course that's elevated up art style, and this one's not on two different screens like its predecessor, but I'm excited to play it nonetheless because I was intrigued by the story, and of course the premise kind of having a Reaper death game aspect to it was really intriguing, and again, I've heard from the people who have played it, it is a good time. I'm actually going to show these two games because they're from the same team and developer, and that is Triangle Strategy as well as Octopath Traveler 2. I loved Triangle Strategy. I've only played one route. All of these games have multiple routes, but from the route that I played of it was absolutely spectacular and amazing and beautiful. Art style was great, and I definitely need to get back into it because the combat and the gameplay and the strategy aspect was really engaging and a lot of fun, and the story was really great because I just remember at the end of the route that I played, I was shocked, very shocked. So I definitely need to get back into this ASAP. And with Octopath Traveler 2, this was definitely critically acclaimed. This came out last year. Everyone who's played it loved their time with it and even said that this one's probably the better of the two, because I know that with Octopath Traveler 1, it does get pretty difficult to the end, and it's really grindy, and I heard that they kind of fixed those elements in the second one. And I did play the demo of this and absolutely loved my time with it, so I'm excited to get into this at some point. The next game is an indie game that I've yet to play, but I want to soon because it's relatively short, and that is Eastward. I got the physical copy because I feel like when it comes to indie games on the Switch, they rarely ever get physical copies, so when they do, I definitely want to snatch one up. And I was very much intrigued by its art style and the premise of it. The action side-scrolling aspect of it was really, really cool, and I'm really excited. And I know that they recently came out with a cozy farming sim DLC or separate game that came along with it that I definitely want to pick up at some point. 4 games that I want to mention are from the same franchise, and that is the Cozyfeji series or the Trails series here in the West, and I have 4 of them on the Switch. I have Trails from Zero, Trails to Azure, and Trails of Cold Steel 3 and 4. And if you guys do not know, I absolutely love the Cozyfeji series. This is actually the series and the franchise that actually made me start my channel in a sense. My very first video that I uploaded on my channel was a Let's Play of Trails in the Sky first chapter. I wanted to document my journey throughout the franchise, playing it from the very first game up until the most recent. I'm slowly but surely working my way through the franchise. I had to take a break because of school and other things, and I was kind of burning through them a little too quickly and putting myself in a burnout. But I've recently been seeing my friend here, Jay, Cold Nights Gaming here on YouTube, play the Trails games for the first time, and it kind of makes me want to go back and play them again. But I absolutely love these games, and I feel like they've run really well on the Switch. Although I am currently starting Trails of Cold Steel 3, and I kind of really wish that I got it on the PS4 or the PS5. I know they recently came with the PS5 edition, because it does kind of look a little fuzzy on the Switch, I'm not gonna lie. But nonetheless, I absolutely love this franchise. If you are looking for a franchise that tells such an amazing, amazing story with such beautiful cast of characters and an overarching story that's told through a span of games, I highly, highly recommend the Trails series. It is a commitment, and it does take a while because there's a lot of games and they're all really long, but I promise you the payoff is worth it. Again, like I mentioned before, I'm currently in Trails of the Cold Steel 3, so I'm about on the halfway point of the franchise. I still have 4 and Reverie as well as Trails Through Daybreak to play, and I know that Trails Through Daybreak 2 is coming out early next year. Either way, I love the Cozyfeji series. It's definitely a mainstay, and I highly recommend, if you are a JRPG fan, to get on top of this franchise. You will not regret it, I promise you. Another franchise that I have in my collection that I've yet to really properly sink my teeth into is the Atelier franchise. I have Atelier 1, The Dever Darkness, and The Secret Hideout. I have Atelier Rise of 2, The Lost Legend of the Secret Hideaway, or The Secret Fairy. And of course, Atelier Rise of 3, The Alchemist of the End, and The Secret Key. I've only played a little bit of Atelier Rise of 1, and I think what's really great about the Atelier Rise franchise, it's such a chill, cozy JRPG. I think this is the epitome of what a cozy JRPG is. You can just chill and relax and play with Ryza and her gang and make potions and explore the world around you. I definitely do think that the Atelier Ryza games is such a cute kind of coming of age story, because you get to watch her grow as an alchemist and find out what her passions are and who she wants to be in this big world of ours, or hers. But either way, I really want to get back into it at some point. I do think their games are on the shorter side for a JRPG, and I know I'm saying that even though I think at max the main story is around 30 hours long. For some people that's still a lot of time, but for us JRPG fans, 30 hours is like child's play. But I definitely need to get back into the franchise because I know I'll love it. I just need to set aside time to play them. Also kind of similar to Atelier Rise, it's also from the same developers, I have Blue Reflection's Second Light on the Switch. I wanted to get the original Blue Reflection on the Switch, but I don't think it's available on the Switch if I'm not mistaken. So I just have the second one. I do have the first game on the PS4, and I want to get into it because, again, it kind of has very much similar vibes to Atelier Rise, but this one's more set in a modern day as you follow high school girls who just happen to have magical powers. If you love Sailor Moon, I feel like this would be something right up your alley. So I'm excited to get into it at some point. Before, I definitely had to play the first one before I crack into this one. And of course, the next franchise that I have is a classic for a JRPG fan. If you do not have these games, are you even considered a JRPG fan? And that is the Final Fantasy franchise. I have quite a bit of the games. I have Final Fantasy 7 and 8 remastered. I have Final Fantasy 9, 10 and 10-2, 12, The Zodiac Age, Final Fantasy 7 Reunion, Crisis Core Final Fantasy 7 Reunion. This was the remake that came out that was originally on the PSP. And then I have World of Fantasy Maxima, which is kind of a fan servicey game for Final Fantasy fans because it's a compilation of a lot of the protagonists from all of the Final Fantasy games. And I feel like as a Final Fantasy fan, being able to play them on the handheld console like this is such a great feeling, and to see them back on the Nintendo systems is really cool too. I have yet to play all of them. I did say, like, I think last year I started my journey of playing the Final Fantasy franchise, but backwards. I started off with 16, I played 15, and then 13, and then I kind of played a little bit of 12, but then I kind of just got bored, and then I went to 7 because I wanted to play through that, and then I kind of just bounced around. But I definitely want to go back into that and go back to my word and play them backwards at some point. But nonetheless, I'm really happy to have those because I know the Final Fantasy franchise is a very beloved series that a lot of JRPG fans love. Now I think I'm going to show you some mainline Nintendo games because I feel like I showed a lot of third-party and JRPGs, but I'm going to get into a lot of more Nintendo games that you can only really play on the Nintendo system. So the first one being Luigi Mansion 3. This is actually my brother's copy that I think I got for him for his birthday. It's at home. I don't know why, but I have it. But nonetheless, I know I have yet to play it myself, but I know this is really, really cool. A lot of fun. I know a lot of people love this game. I definitely need to play this coming month for the spooky season coming around. I think the gameplay is fun, and Luigi and his scaredy self I think would be fun to play. The next game that I have is a very interesting game, and that is Super Mario 3D All-Stars. I remember when this copy or this game came out, it was kind of controversial because they were only promising to release this game for a limited time, and so you could only get this physical copy for like I think a couple months, and then it wouldn't be sold in stores. But then it wouldn't be sold in stores after that fact. I think it was after March 31st of, I think, 2021, if I'm not mistaken. So I decided to get a copy just for the rare chance that this becomes a rarity at some point. But what's really funny is that it has the compilation of 3 of these games: Super Mario 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy. I've had all great history with all of these 3 games. Super Mario 64 was the very first game I've ever played in my entire life. I remember playing it on the 64 at my cousin's house and absolutely being enamored by it. And then Sunshine was one of the games that I remember playing a lot along with my brother back in the day. And Galaxy was probably one of the games that I played on the Wii a lot, besides Wii Sports, that I just had a lot of fun playing. And you can also, when I played it with my brother, I was also collecting the star bits as well. So this is definitely a nostalgia piece for sure. Out of this pack, I only finished Galaxy, and I'm kind of working my way backwards because I feel like the Super 64 is going to be really, really hard. But nonetheless, I'm really happy to have this because this is just childhood right here. And of course, speaking of childhood, I have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I don't really play this as often. I really should. I don't know, when it comes to video games, I love good story, and if I'm not playing a game with story, I'm not necessarily wasting my time, but I feel like I want to invest in it. But I think this is just a game that you can pick up and go whenever, wherever you want. You can play a couple of rounds, and if you feel like you've tapped and you're bored, you can just tap out and go about your day. So I feel like you have to have a Mario Kart game in your and then it's such a collection, especially this. And now that there's so much DLC, so many races and different what is the word I'm looking for? Different modes and all that jazz. It's like you can play this game endlessly on end. Kind of a random one here, but this one is Cosmic Star Heroine. This is also another indie game. This is from Limited Run Games. This is kind of an RPG that kind of takes a callback to the older and pays homage to older like PS1, PS2 titles. It has that pixel art style that people love. I love. I've been playing a little bit of this game recently because it's gone on the shorter side. I think this game is like in the runtime 8 hours long, and so I think this would be a great for as an adult for me who has a lot of other adult responsibilities, and I don't have as much game time or time to play games. This is a great game to play in those downtimes that I have, and I really love this. And what's really cool about this is that it actually comes with a manual. When I saw this, I was so shocked because like literally if you look at all of these games here, I don't think any of them have any manuals in this, but this generally has like how to play the item and what items to use, how to play it, the menus, and what characters you get to play, different moves and combat. Like, this is what I miss, and I wish that other companies actually took the time to do, because it's just nostalgic and fun, because there's not much fun in these game cards and these packaging. Anyways, the next game that I have actually played is Yomawari Lost in the Dark. I played this game last year in the time of Halloween and spooky season and absolutely loved my time with it. It's more of a adventure, puzzle, mystery aspect to it. And you're solving the case of what happened to this little girl and her memories and why she is ostrated or why she sees certain person that no one else can see. It does have jump scares and spooky elements to it, and I definitely was on the edge of my seat sometimes because there definitely deals with a lot of unsettling issues and matter that I think that should be definitely there. We should trigger warnings going into this game, but nonetheless I really enjoyed my time with it, and I enjoyed it so much that I definitely want to go back and play the older entries or other entries from the franchise that I know that they have on the PS Vita. The next game that I want to mention is that I have in my collection is Fashion Dreamer, and the reason why I laugh is because I was hooked on this game when it first came out for like 2 weeks, and then I just kind of fell off. I love this game so much. I literally made a separate dedicated Twitter account for all the looks that I made in this game. I'll like show pictures of it here of the looks and videos I made, but this was a kind of a game that paid homage to the games like Style Savvy back in the day that I never got to experience. But I know that a lot of people who did play this game also kind of fell off because after a while there's only so much that you can do, because the whole premise of this is that you're an influencer and you're trying to gain a following, and once you get to a certain following you finish the game. I literally finished this game within a day. It was like, at least the main story. I know that they are still supporting this game with a lot of DLC, which I think is great with adding new looks and items, but I don't think I really see myself coming back to this game again, but I did enjoy my time and the looks that I made with this game. And now the next two games that I'm going to mention are actually, the next three are in the same category of the farming sim genre, and that is Story Seasons, A Wonderful Life, Stardew Valley, as well as the game that really got me back into gaming in Animal Crossing New Horizons. In this game in particular, I have such many fond memories. I got this game at the very beginning of the pandemic, like most people did, because it came out literally at the beginning of the pandemic, and I have spent an ungodly amount of hours. I think I spent over 1,500 hours in this game, because I've made so many different islands, and it's my comfort game. Truly, whenever I'm bored or I feel like I have the itch to create a new island or just go back and play the beginnings of the game, I pick this game up and I have a blast. And if you look at the Animal Crossing community, the amount of creativity and talent that is had in this game is just insane. I follow a lot of Animal Crossing New Horizons accounts just to get inspiration. Or even if you look at my Pinterest, I have like certain boards that are just dedicated to certain themes on islands that I want to make at some point. But I absolutely love Animal Crossing New Horizons. And Stardew Valley is just a classic. I absolutely love I loved playing this. I was hooked on it, especially earlier this year. I get the reason why people love this game so much. I feel like this was like the kind of the renaissance for farming sims, and kind of was the push for so many farming games that we see today. But I absolutely love this game, and it's classic. I don't know if I love the Switch version. I definitely think I want to get the PC version at some point, because I do want to mod my my farm and to add some certain features on a PC version. And I have Story of Seasons. I've yet to play it, but I know this is a remake of the GameCube and PS2 version of this game. Although this game kind of had mixed reviews on how it was adapted and how they remade it, but I'm excited to dip into it because I haven't really played that many, or if any, story of seasons games, so I'm excited to see how that game turns out. And the next game that I want to mention, or the next game that I have in my collection, is Nier Automata, the End of Yorha edition. I've been waiting to play this game. I was actually supposed to play this game earlier this year because I had a video in mind to talk about female protagonists or female characters in video games. And of course, 2B is a very iconic female protagonist in video games. Whether it should be controversial or a influential character and not, I really want to get into it. And when it was announced that they were going to make a Switch version, I knew I had to get it. And I've heard that the Switch version runs really great and runs really fine. So, and it has all the added DLC from the other games on it. So I feel like this is a kind of a definitive edition to play this game, but I'm excited to play this soon. I know it's kind of long because there's multiple routes in it, but I'm in it for the long run. Now, the next two games that I have are Zelda games, and that is The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening as well as The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Both of these are remasters and remakes of the original. I believe this was on the Game Boy Advance back in the day, and this was on the Wii. I know that this one wasn't very much a well-loved game, but I'm excited to play it nonetheless because I'm very new and fresh to the Zelda franchise. My first Zelda game was actually Breath of the Wild, and I absolutely love that game. I can't say enough about that game. I feel like everyone has already said enough about that game. Me adding to the discourse isn't really going to add much to it, but I really wanted to dive into the older games, and I know this is a remake. I've played a little bit of this one. I think I've put in like 2 to 3 hours, and it's a lot of fun, and I love the top scrolling aspect of this game. I think it's really cute and fun, and I know that at the time of filming this video, The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom had just come out, which is a very similar art style to this one. But nonetheless, I love Zelda and the world of Zelda, and I definitely want to play more Zelda games, and I'm still waiting for that Twilight Princess and Wind Waker remakes to come out, but come on, Nintendo, what are you waiting for? And the next two games are also from the same franchise, and that's Pokemon, and that is Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, as well as Pokemon Legends Arceus. Now, Pokemon, I have never played a Pokemon game in my life. I know, crazy. Reason why I've mentioned this story in my channel before is because when I was younger, I was not allowed to play Pokemon or even watch or consume anything Pokemon because my parents thought they were demonic and satanic. My mom heard one story of one kid sleeping with a Pokemon card, and then he died apparently the next morning. And so from then she's like, not trusting those demonic creatures. My parents aren't as overbearing or as insane as they were, and I'm an adult, so I can play these games if I want to. But nonetheless, I've heard really great things about, of course, the Pokemon franchise. I don't know so much good news lately with the current state of their games, but I know that Pokemon Let's Go Eevee is a remake or remaster of the game that came out, I want to say, on the Game Boy. I could be wrong. And then I've heard really great things about Pokemon Legends Arceus. I feel like this one was definitely a reimagining and a refresh for the franchise. I feel like it really woke up the fan base because it was definitely something new and different with the semi-open world aspects of it, and I'm really excited and looking forward to this one because I feel like this would be a little bit more up my alley. And the last game that I have in my collection to show you is Super Mario RPG. I was really excited for this because I never heard about this game until when I saw it until the direct, and the idea of a Mario game but RPG style was something right up my alley. As someone who loves a good JRPG, I had to pick this up day one. And I only put in a couple hours in it, and I was already enamored. But I think I dropped it because another game came out a couple weeks after the fact. I can't remember what game it was, but nonetheless, either that or one probably went back to playing Trails games. Either way, I'm really happy to have this in my collection, and it's really cool to being able to see Nintendo remaster and remake these older titles that a lot of people didn't get to play, especially with like games such as A Thousand Year Door that came out this year as well. It's really cool to be able to see these games on a fresh new coat of paint on a really beloved console. And that is pretty much every game in my Nintendo Switch collection. That was a long video. I am tired because my stack of games are a lot, and I'm gonna have to put these back, which is I'm really happy to share my collection with you guys. Oh, again, like I mentioned before, I find collection videos a lot of fun to watch. It gives you a good insight of what kind of gamer a person is, and to just showcase with all the games that you could possibly add to your collection as well. I would love to hear down below what is your favorite Switch game, or a Switch game that you have to recommend someone that they have to have in their collection. Again, if you guys enjoyed this video, do not forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next one. Bye.